3.
29-14, Texans fall to the Baltimore Ravens today. MT and I were watching it down here at the lovely Monte Carlo. You see out here at the window where dreams are made back here on the Vegas Strip, the little roller coaster. We might ride on that later tonight. A little bit of a roller coaster for the Texans so far this season. We were the highest of high when they went 3-1, beat the Steelers. Now the lowest of low after you drop consecutive games to the Oakland Raiders and the Baltimore Ravens. And Matt, you commented in the fourth quarter, you said, God, there must not be any receivers open because it seemed like the offensive line kind of was doing an okay job of pass protection. If the Texans don't get Andre Johnson back next week, do you think they can beat Tennessee?
The answer is yes. They're going to have to beat Tennessee. This is one of those gut check weeks for this squad. I think they got to realize this division is crap. We saw for the second straight week, 3 teams in the division all lose today. So as bad as you're feeling right now, I felt better about today than I did about last week. The Oakland loss, I think, hurts a lot more. You weren't going to Baltimore without Andre Johnson. That Ravens defense, Ray Lewis today, 12 tackles and a sack, lots of pressure. The most discouraging part, Matty, is your defense played, even though they gave up the points, a really good job. I thought Joe Flacco, with the exception of the 2 bombs, was rather average today. Ray Rice didn't do a whole lot for that team in the second half. If I'm on that plane headed back to Houston, I'm more worried about the future of this offense because with Andre, in as much as Jacoby stepped up today, Owen Daniels was a non-issue, frankly, this afternoon. Derek Mason got a few things in there, but I thought from a coverage standpoint, Matt had time to throw, and the receivers just couldn't get open.
The offense, surprisingly, wears the goat horn so far this season. The defense has really played well, with the exception of the fourth quarter against the Saints. I've been very happy with it. There were two guys that I think you need to mention that you have to shake your head a little bit. 2 very costly penalties against Antonio Smith that extended Raven drives. And then Kareem Jackson, I don't know how you have this guy in the field. Even when he makes a play on the football, it's because he committed a penalty, but he gave up that first big bomb that set up a field goal for the Baltimore Ravens. I know it's really lesser of 2 evils, Kareem Jackson versus Jason Allen, but God, it's so frustrating watching Kareem Jackson out there and messing up some plays. A couple of the other deep balls they gave up, it seemed like to me they were good throws by Joe Flacco. There wasn't a whole lot that Jonathan Joseph could have done on the 1-2 Anquan Bolden there. I shake my head, though. Do you think it's just that Andre Johnson's out that's causing the offense to have some difficulties out there, or do you think it's more than that?
I don't know what it is, but here's the thing. You can't soften up defenses when you're getting 2 yards up the middle. How many big Arian Foster runs did he have between the tackles today?
None.
I mean, minimal. I cannot believe how this offense has been derailed by this. Because let's talk about it. Mario Williams didn't play today. I think Connor Barwin did well.
I thought the pass rush was good.
They got to Flacco. They made his life very uncomfortable. As I said, with the exception of those 2 throws, I thought Joe Flacco played about as well as Matt Schaub did when you take those away. But with all due respect, we love Kevin Walter, and he had an amazing game against Oakland last week. The Ravens, to their credit, as I mentioned before, Owen Daniels a non-issue. Joel Dreesen's now becoming a penalty machine, apparently, a couple of times in the contest as well. There just isn't enough threats. And while Jacoby stepped up today, and by the way, I'm sure we'll get lots of phone calls about the call, non-call, you could have flipped a coin on how.
Doesn't matter. The game was over at that point anyway. That was just, I mean, that basically put it out of the way. But I mean, that's a tough call. It's going to happen within the game. Bottom line is, Texans are 3-3, and I think Texan fans are pretty nervous right about now. As much as we laughed and scoffed at the Tennessee Titans going into the year, and Mike Lombardi says the Titans are going to win the division and the Texans are soft, and blah 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 blah. Well, it's nut-cutting time right now.
The Texans are still a better football team than the Tennessee Titans. They better go.
Well, they got to prove it. Yeah, they got to prove it up in Nashville, and that will be coming up this coming Sunday. And we will be talking about plenty of that right here on Sports Talk 790. So you definitely want to stay tuned each and every minute.